Hi, Rob Shreve, Coastal Shores Landscaping. We're coming to you today from a lawn here in Hampton Hall that we're getting ready to do a sod replacement. And we're going to put together a little video here that just kind of walks you through the steps of sod replacement. It's not as simple as just coming in here and laying new sod down and being done with it. It really comes down to the prepping, what you're going to do ahead of that new sod to ensure the long-term success of the new sod. First thing you need to do is you need to think about, why did the old sod decline to begin with? Because if you don't address that to start with, you're very well going to have the same problem again in your new sod. So a couple things we always look for. One is just the overall age of the grass. Centipede grass, this is a centipede lawn. Centipede grass, it kind of naturally declines after 10 to 15 years. This particular lawn is about 12 years old and we're starting to see some decline. So that's just natural centipede decline. The second thing we look for, drainage. This particular house doesn't really have any drainage issues, but a lot of houses do. Downspouts that has a tremendous amount of water rushing over a section of grass. That's going to thin out and deteriorate the grass. Areas that hold water, that puddle, that's going to deteriorate the grass. So always look for drainage concerns that you could address that are going to help the new grass survive long term. The next thing we look for, and the biggest problem we have in this lawn, is a big mature tree. This tree is doing a couple of things. Number one, it's shading the lawn. Centipede grass is a sun-loving grass. More sun, the better. So when it gets shade, it's going to decline a little bit more every year. Number two, large mature tree. It's been 90 degrees for over 50 straight days. Haven't had a lot of rain. The tree is going to win. The tree is going to take up any moisture that comes to this lawn. So you can irrigate and irrigate and irrigate, but the tree roots are sucking up all that moisture. So you need to think about, how do we address that? In this particular case, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to limb up this tree some. We're going to limb it up to try to let a little more light into the new grass. Number two is, after we cut out this grass, we are going to try to cut some of the roots, cover the roots with topsoil, but most importantly is we're going to look at kind of the worst areas where there's the most roots, the most amount of shade, and we're going to eliminate those. We're going to turn those into landscape beds, because there's just no sense fighting where grass isn't going to be successful. So we'll enlarge this bed, put a nice curve to it, and just not put new grass back in those areas. So those are kind of some things you need to look for ahead of resodding. The first step in the resodding process is what we're doing here today, and that is we come in and we kill off the existing conditions. This is important because we don't want any of the weeds or other junk grasses coming up through your new grass. So we come in anywhere from 7 to 14 days ahead of time. We spray the whole lawn with Roundup. We go ahead and flag all the irrigation heads, which will come into play later. Once we begin cutting out this sod, we flag all the heads so we don't cut them or damage them through the process. But flag the heads, spray Roundup, and then we go ahead and turn off the water, the zone that waters whatever particular section that we're going to be resodding. On this particular lawn, we're resodding only one section of the lawn, so we'll find what zone waters that, we'll turn it off, and we'll leave the other zones on. So first step, kill off the existing conditions and identify your problems, and then we'll be moving forward from there. Hi, Rob, Coastal Shores Landscaping. We're back here at our Hampton Hall property. Today, we're removing the grass. About a week ago, we sprayed Roundup, killed off all the existing conditions, because like I mentioned before, we don't want any of the weeds or junk grasses coming up in the new sod. So we kill it off, gets it nice and dead. Now Thomas is on the sod cutter, removing the old conditions, and then we'll be prepping the soil, raking it, smoothing it. We'll also today be limbing up this oak tree in an effort to get more light in. We'll be cutting some roots that are over there so they don't grow up through the new grass, and then we'll be adding some topsoil prior to laying the new grass tomorrow. So the project's moving right along. Today is about removing the old and prepping for the new. Hi, Rob, Coastal Shores. We're back here at our Hampton Hall sod job. The guys have gotten all the old sod removed, and we're kind of doing our final prep for the new sod. The roots, there's extensive roots through here. Those have been removed now. We've limbed up the canopy of the tree, and now the guys are just going around and doing a little fine raking, prepping the soil for the new sod. On this particular job, the soil here is pretty good. We're going to use a little bit of new topsoil to add some soil where the roots were, a couple little low spots, but generally speaking, the soil is pretty good. It's a good growing condition for sod. That's not the case in many neighborhoods. In many neighborhoods, the soil is the main culprit for the sod decline. In those cases, it's important to take the extra step, spend the extra money on installing a layer of topsoil over the entire area that you're planning to resod. An inch, inch and a half of new soil, plus the new sod has an inch, inch and a half of soil on it, combines for a couple inches of good soil, creating a good growing condition for the new sod, and it is critical in an area where the soil is maybe very clay or very sand. There's no point in installing the new sod if you're not going to address why the old sod didn't succeed. In many cases, that's because soil conditions. So please, I encourage you, take the extra step in installing new soil when you're installing new sod. We'll check back on this job here a little bit later. We're getting ready to start laying the sod, and we'll give you an update here in a little bit. Hi, Rob, Coastal Shores. Here in Hampton Hall, we finished up the sod now. We laid about 2,000 square feet, 4 pallets on this job. Now we're getting the irrigation set, make sure there's good coverage. This time of year, it's very important to get a lot of water to this. You don't want to overwater, but certainly you're going to need to water at least once a day, and on certain days, you might need to give it a second watering in the afternoon. Need to do that watering for the first couple of weeks, and then you can slowly start kind of dialing it back to your normal 3 or 4 days a week typically. Also, new sod means you need to get down to insecticides and fungicides. The new sod is very vulnerable to insects and fungus until it gets rooted, so we want to make sure we get those applications down. We've got the sod nice and level, rolled. We put in topsoil where the roots were giving us a problem. Enlarge the beds out from the tree canopy, raise the tree canopy to get more sun in here, and this grass should be good for many years to come because we did all the necessary steps ahead of time to ensure its long-term success. So if you need some sod replacement done, please call Coastal Shores 843-368-4917 or go to our website coastalshoresSC.com.